Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. I'm Alek Koberna. That's Matt Morrison over there, hatless for once. Matt, what's up? Why is there no hat?
I don't know. I'm just sick of that. When I take my hat off, my hair is just sticking straight up, and I'm just sick of
No,
it.
that's the best. That's why you got to wear it all day long.
No. So I'm just
welcome in everybody to a Thursday edition, the Alek and Matt show. You guys, Matt and Mike, took it off yesterday, and you guys did pretty poor. I mean, you had a good show, but your picking yesterday was terrible. Our picking on Monday was awful. Our picking on Tuesday was terrible. We haven't picked anything right all week long. It's been dreadful. If you're a betting man, I'm taking whatever we say, on the other side of it. Say, we're going to tell you what team wins, you'll 100% take the other one.
I'm never picking Baylor ever again when they play good teams. Ever again. I said that yesterday. I'll give them one more chance. I'll pick them one more time. If they lose to Texas Tech, I was that close to picking Texas Tech, and they beat them. That's it. I'm done.
Providence got taken down by Villanova. I couldn't believe it. New Mexico, the Lobos somehow took down Wyoming. We were talking about Wyoming earlier this week. I was like, oh, my God, it's like another 11 team.
Yeah, I can't believe Villanova beat Providence.
New Mexico knocks them right out. Dayton takes down Rhode Island. Fort Wayne beat Cleveland State. Texas Tech obviously wins. Temple beat SMU, and St. John's took down Xavier.
Fort Wayne beat
Tennessee
Cleveland
beat Kentucky
State
as well.
Oh, man.
And Wake Forest was a controversial point away from winning that game. That was goaltending 100%.
I was the only one to pick them. That was absolutely goaltending. Are you serious?
Once again, get this. Once again, Duke gets saved by the refs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is the same storyline, different year, right?
Crap.
Same storyline, different year. Sorry, we're coming in hot today on the show.
There's
some stuff off the show. We're coming in hot already.
It's Thursday already. I can't believe it's Thursday.
It's crazy. It's Thursday and I'm still hot.
I hate the weekends now. That's where I've got to work and do homework. My favorite day is Monday and Tuesday because I don't have anything going on.
Yeah, that's at all. Well, we got quite a few games to get into, so let's go ahead and get into them. Stay tuned to the end of the show as well. We're going to be talking for the first time a little bit of women's basketball, college boys games, kind of slacking a few repeats of stuff we've already talked about a lot. So we're going to switch things up and head out to a little bit of different territory. I think we got 2 games to talk about today, and I think I got 3 or 4 on book for tomorrow as well. Tomorrow we're talking YSU basketball, girls basketball. That is, they're phenomenal this year. Let's start this thing off and head over to the American Conference. Houston has taken back-to-back losses to SMU and Memphis, the second and third teams in the conference. UCF, their team that they've kind of been on the edge of okay in conference play. They're above 500 at the moment. They're 7-6. They're coming down here into Houston, Texas to take on the Cougars, a team still within the top 25. I think they're going to slip up a little bit more fall back into those rankings come next week. Obviously, I put out our rankings on Twitter today, and I was going through and I was putting the list together. It's like, man, since Tuesday, 2 days ago, college basketball landscape has changed dramatically since we put out our initial rankings just the other day. And I think we have potential here for UCF to pull this upset on the road. I know Houston's really good, and they're led very strong with that defense, and their offense complements it. And pretty much every statistical analysis ranking has Houston as a top 5 basketball team in the country. Statistically, this team is great, but they're not passing the eye test anymore, Matt. They keep slipping up. When they were 20-2, I think that was fine, 9-0 in conference play. But back-to-back losses, the stat test is still there because you have an entire season of stats backing that up. But now the eye test that you have to look at in the later stages of this season to see what a team is really made of, I think has slipped a little bit for this team.
Yeah, it certainly has. I mean, you talk about the back losses, the SMU and then Memphis. Those are very hard-nosed teams. Memphis is too. Their record may not show it, but they lose a lot of close games and they win a lot of close games. They're kind of like a Rutgers type of team, Memphis. They can beat tough opponents like Houston. And, quite frankly, UCF is the same. I mean, they're
UCF
not a bad
is one of these teams I think could come in here and
15-8? They're 15-8. You never know what can happen. They made They made a huge run 2-3 years ago with Taco Fall, and they almost knocked off Duke in the tournament. Taco Fall shut down Zion Williamson. They just had RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish to help them out in that game. But, it can happen again. UCF can make a run. You never know. You just never know. They have some good wins. They some of their losses too are like, oh, come on, like they have good losses. They lose to SMU, but they lose to Temple. But I mean, they lose to South Florida. They actually beat Memphis. So last time they played Houston, I mean, it was kind of close, but not really. 63-49, which is
I think
terrible.
Memphis might make the run and steal the Horizon out from SMU and the Cougars.
Yeah, I think Memphis might make a run. They might.
I think they're in a good position. I mean, they're one game back in the American Conference. I mean, you got Houston at 9-2. They just knocked them off. Houston is on a 2-game slide. I mean, the conference is there so long as they win out. And with what, I think 7 games left on the schedule, they probably stand pretty strong. But they finish out the season at Memphis. If you see 2 more slip-ups in there against whether it's UCF, Tulane, SMU, Cincinnati, or Temple, a lot of good teams in there, then they have to go into Memphis that final week. I think, one, this could either open up the door for SMU to take the conference or for Memphis to potentially jump on as the steal in that final game of the season. So I think the American is far from being decided at this point. I don't even think they, that top 4 could still give you a little bit of a slide. I think Tulane's a little bit out of it, but I mean, a strong run here.
Just a little.
Conference play. I mean, they can be right in that conversation for that regular season title.
Tulane only a game and a half out of first. I mean, it's all really close.
And
UCF is 3 games out.
Great too for the American Conference. I mean, you're talking if you have somebody getting that guaranteed spot other than Houston, based on being the conference championship. Houston being a team in the top 25, even with probably 2 more slides, most likely still getting into the conference, into March Madness as a top 25 team. And now you're talking multiple American conference teams getting into March Madness. Sometimes with, outside of that big 6 conferences, the major conferences, some of these other conferences can only put 1 or 2 teams in. I think right now the American, they got a chance maybe at 3 if they put on a strong finish. And I think mainly if Memphis makes the run, I think they get 3 in. I think SMU takes the title. I think it's SMU and Houston, but I think Houston's pretty much guaranteed themselves a spot to be playing in March based on all the rankings, what they say towards Houston Cougars, and statistical analysis has favored this team so heavily. I mean, they've been given a 96.2% chance to win this game tonight on the BPI matchup predictor because stats love Houston. But these last 2 games, stats were in favor of Houston again, and they slipped off. Anything happens. Stats are great when you're trying to feel what a game could be. Once you hit that floor, you throw every stat out the window pretty much when it comes to, hey, you got to go out there, play the game, you got to win. You see it in high school all the time. I think it's even more prevalent in high school. You got a team coming into a game shooting, 70 points a game, and they get met by a team on the other side that has decent shooting but a phenomenal defense and can make them play differently. Every stat would say, oh, the team that's, scoring 70, allowing 30 points is going to win this thing by a landslide. And then that team comes in there maybe, averaging a 50 points for, 40 points against, and they somehow find a way to steal the victory. Stats are great and all, but upsets happen. It's what this league is built on. We've seen it a million times this week. This season, I think we're probably getting up there on most top 10 upsets in college basketball history. I mean, I think I saw that stat earlier. They're crouching in on where were we at. I think it was 2019 or 2020 when the season was just getting scrambled ever. I think it was 2019 before we went into March Madness. And that was one of the craziest brackets we had seen because everyone was losing. I mean, it was a toss-up, and you saw wild teams making big runs.
That's the year. I think that's the year we saw Michigan State. I think that's the year we saw Michigan State, who was a top seed, go out in like the first round. Maybe that was a couple years before. You remember when Michigan State lost to like a Middle Tennessee in the first round? And Michigan State was like a 1 or 2.
Number 1 seed. I don't remember what that was. That may be 18 or 17, I think. That's a while ago.
Yeah, that's.
We were saying that 2018 was a long time ago, but I mean, that's 4 years. In sports, that is forever.
Yeah, it is.
It
mean,
really
that's when I graduated high school.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about that. The freshmen we're talking about now in 2018, you're freshmen in high school. You go 5 years back to 2017, guys like, Paolo Banchero.
I was a senior in high school, but I was a senior in 2018.
Yeah, you were. I'm saying the guys that are freshmen in colleges right now.
Oh, yeah.
They were in 8th grade back in 2017, 5 years ago. That's going to make a lot of people feel old.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm leaving. I'm going.
No, we got to make picks, Matt. Who are you taking in this one, the Cougars or the Knights? Who are you taking?
Houston. I'm going to take Houston.
I think that's the safe pick here. But you know what? With all the upsets we've seen, I swear like every time I go to pick the upset, it doesn't happen.
So don't pick it.
I don't think I can count on Houston to lose 3 times in a row. I think that's maybe the big thing. It's so hard to lose that many times in a row as a good team, which they are. I mean, this is a good team. There's a reason stats love them. They put up the numbers all season long in some big games to back that up. I mean, go 20-2 up until this point where they've dropped 2 straight. You have to be a good team. So I'm going Houston right along with you. But I think there's a big chance for UCF to pull that upset and make it a conversation. I mean, you will drop Houston to 9-3. You have SMU right behind them at 9-3 in conference play. You have Memphis at 9-4 right now in conference play. You got a chance, I believe, tonight. Houston could drop to 2nd in conference play. I think they'd still be ahead of Memphis based on win percentages, but I think SMU would take first place if SMU wins tonight and Houston goes down to UCF. We have a new favorite to win the American.
Oh yeah,
and it's not the team in the top 25. That's wild.
That's horrible. Yeah,
but we're going to flip things over now to a conference we haven't talked too much about, the Ivy League. They got some good teams coming out, and right now, coming down the final stretch, they got a near 3-way tie for first place. It's not tied up, but it's a very strong possibility that it could. Coming in tonight, the Pennsylvania Quakers, 11-12 overall.
Penn.
A total record, but 8-2 in conference play. It's a big story for Penn right now, as they could potentially come out on top of the Ivy League, against a team tonight in Yale that's 14-9, or over Princeton, who's 17-5, and be the team the
Princeton,
Ivy League
man.
March Madness. Yeah, and Princeton's third. We're going to talk about them
them
tomorrow because they have this matchup against Yale tomorrow. So a huge game, and these 2 games we're going to be talking about today and tomorrow could very well decide regular season standings for the Ivy League. So coming into this one, you got the Pennsylvania Quakers going up against the Yale Bulldogs, who are 8-1 in conference play, 14-9 overall. Penn right now, they're being led by Jordan Dingle. What a name. 20 points per game out of this 6'3 sophomore from Valley Stream, New York. Wow. And on the other side, Yale, they got a guy going 19 points a game, and Azar Swain, senior 6 foot from Brockton, Massachusetts, 19 points per game, as I said. Last time out between these 2 squads, he only had 12 points, so obviously he's going to need to get it done better because Penn won this matchup last time. Penn is the one loss Yale has in conference play. It was 76-68 back on January 22nd. So a huge shot for Penn right now to sweep play. And I believe with the win here tonight, since they'd have both wins over Yale, they hold the tiebreaker. They're the number 1 team in the Ivy League with Yale and Princeton on the trail. So Penn can put themselves in a great spot tonight, as just hitting 500, they'd be in first place of the Ivy League.
Yeah, I mean,
Yale, they got a good chance to kind of push themselves ahead of the pack.
Princeton, though, Princeton is one of the teams I said a little bit ago here on the show.
Yeah, they were nearly undefeated. I think they were like 15-1 when you mentioned that, and they've taken a slid here recently.
Yeah, they're definitely a sleeper team. Still 17-5. That's great. I like some of their wins. That they only lost to 7.
Man, we're not talking Princeton right now. Princeton's tomorrow.
I know. Well, we're talking.
Yeah, we're talking Princeton tomorrow. I said that. So wait for tomorrow, and you can talk Princeton. Talk Penn and Yale.
I like Penn and Yale. All right. Let me go here.
Quakers and the Bulldogs.
The Quakers and the Bulldogs.
We have on YSN, right? You get the Salem Quakers going up against Poland Bulldogs, East Palestine Bulldogs. There's a lot of Bulldogs. I think we only have the one Quaker, but I think there's a lot of Bulldogs in the Valley.
There's a bunch of Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Man, come up with some new names. But this game.
All right, the guy who's calling the team called the Warriors and the Braves, they're pretty much the same, and they're very universally used.
Yeah. So.
Granted, I got the Cardinals on one side of my end.
I think I've called a lot of Wildcats too.
Oh yes.
A lot of Wildcats.
Wildcat might be the most commonly used name ever.
Oh my gosh. What was it? There was the Chalker Wildcats, I forget who else. But this game, I mean, this should be a pretty decent game. I mean, Yale, a very good team. So is Penn. Very evenly matched. So you never really know what this game is going to go. You don't know what direction it's going to go into. Penn, their last 5, they've won 5 in a row. But so is Yale. So. They
Yale's
beat Harvard.
In a row now.
Yale has beaten Harvard twice, 2 in a row. That's hard to do. I don't care, if they're bad or not.
Back-to-back games is always hard. Plus, they got that.
It's very hard to do, and And Penn, I mean, they didn't play them back-to-back, but they did beat Harvard twice in the last 5 games. So there's another one. I mean, man, Harvard has to be in turmoil right now.
Yeah, they're not doing too good. They're
But
3-6 overall in conference
oh,
play.
geez. Oh, geez.
The only
But,
teams worse than them are Dartmouth and Columbia.
yeah, so we'll
Both of
just,
these teams have wins over in the last 5, so.
yeah. Last time, looks like Penn beat Yale, close game 76-68. So I expect it to be another close one, but is it in Yale? Is it in Yale?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I mean, home team. I mean, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the home team here. I'm gonna take Yale.
I think that's a good pick. I mean, I think when you look at these teams, playing at home is huge, especially coming off a 2-game road stretch for Yale. Penn was off a 3-game road streak before hosting Harvard. Now they're back on the road again. I think it takes a toll on them, but I think with this being such a tight race right now, these teams obviously met up already. I think Penn can take the season series here, and I think I got to roll with Jordan Dingle. I mean, got to roll with the best name out there, right? Jordan Dingle. Makes me want to go out to Barry Dingles on the
Barry Dingles, yeah, in Austintown.
Oh, they got some good barbecue out there.
Oh man, I remember we went there.
We got to talk to them about a sponsorship. Hold on, get some barbecue for the podcast every day. Now we're talking.
Oh man, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, no, I'm going to take Dingle over Swain, though, and give me Penn in this game. I'm going to pull the upset. I've picked both. I've almost picked both upsets here. I don't know how much this would be an upset, though, with Penn already taking them down once. If anything, Yale might be the team looking for the upset tonight. We're going to keep it out of major conferences as well. There's like no major conference games going on tonight that really matter. I mean, we're pretty much all talking out of conference play. This one tomorrow in the Horizon League, a huge matchup between the team in 2nd and 4th, the Wright State Raiders at 15-12, 12-6 in conference play, taking on the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, 11-4 in conference play, 18-8 overall. They're really battling right now between, I mean, it is a 4-way, basically neck and neck race for first place of the Horizon. That's going to be a sprint down to the finish line between Cleveland State, Oakland, Northern Kentucky, and Wright State, as it seems to be every year, with, Fort Wayne and Youngstown State kind of on the outside looking in. Youngstown State, I believe, taking on UIC tonight. So hopefully they get that win, become 17-11. That'd be a great spot to be in. I mean, if they can hit 20 wins on the season, that's great.
That'd be great.
I don't think we got a spot in March, but you never know what can happen down at the end of the season, but they're 3 games out. It's a long ways to go. I think 7-8 games left in the season for anybody, but you got to love what Oakland is doing right now, sitting in second place. And I think it's maybe a little bit surprising Cleveland State has been able to hold that lead with how well Oakland State was playing. And Oakland State, they took that slide, and that's what hurt, because they lost to Northern Kentucky, Wright State, and Youngstown in 3 straight games, which obviously
that was a huge win.
There. They were going to be battling it out neck and neck with Cleveland State the whole way through. Luckily, they do have, I believe, a tiebreaker win over Cleveland State already on the season. So if it comes down to it for regular season, obviously you get postseason tournaments too, which help decide things as well. But this team is so talented. And I mean, they're being led out there by Jamal Kane, the 6'7" senior, averaging a double-double on the season. He was held just to 13 points, but still 11 rebounds in that last matchup between these two. I think he probably comes out a little bit stronger here on the other side. You got Tanner Holden, the 6'8" junior out of Wheelersburg, Ohio, shooting 50% on the season. This is a guy, he averages 20 points against Oakland. I think he's in for a big night. I think the 2 big scorers go off, have themselves a game. And I think maybe the one thing right now with the Wright State is they beat this team last time out by 11 at home. Mm-hmm. Now they've taken back-to-back losses against Milwaukee, Northern Kentucky. I think it's hard for a team to drop 3 in a row. I think Wright State does, and I got Oakland taking the win here. I like they're at home. They were on a 4-game road streak for hosting Detroit Mercy, in which they nearly crushed them by, I think, 16 points here. I think they go big again tonight. I think it's close. I think they kind of pull away there at the end, use some free throws to dress things up a little bit, though. I got Oakland in this game.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Oakland too. They're a heck of a team, and I like what they did against YSU, even though they lost to YSU. I mean, that was a heck of a game. I mean, 78-71, what a battle there. But they're still a solid team, and that's why everybody was so hyped when YSU beat them, because they're such a solid, well-rounded basketball team. And, so is Wright State, too. They've always been on the top of the horizon, but I think it's going to be
and Wright State beat us by just 3 there, too. Youngstown State, that was a 90-87 game. That was fantastic here at home.
I know, yeah. But I think we're going to see a new somebody new that's going to be at the top of the horizon. So I think we might see an Oakland get into March, or finally Cleveland State. You never know. Maybe
like they've been so close every year, and they just keep getting knocked out.
Right? I know. It's horrible.
Well,
it's horrible. But I'm going.
I've never been the biggest fan of Cleveland State, but they are an Ohio team, though. So
yeah. But I know you haven't. But I'm gonna go Oakland here.
Yeah, good pick. Well, we're keeping it in state, and actually just going about 20, 30 minutes down the road, we're checking out Kent State, this boys team. I know you talked about them. We picked Akron against this team, and they ended up winning it. So Kent State right now is on a 7-game win streak. They are 2 games back from first place in the MAC after beating Toledo last night, the team that had really been running in first place of the MACtion all season long. And now the new first place team coming in tonight down from Athens, home of Joe Burrow. The Ohio Bobcats are coming to town up here in Kent. Should be a phenomenal game. The Bobcats 22-4, 13-2 in conference. Kent State coming in red hot at 16-9, 11-4. My brother's alma mater. So probably means I'm going to pick against it. But, still got to put it out there. No, but there is.
Didn't your mom go to Ohio?
Down there. What?
Didn't your mom go to Ohio?
Briefly. She went to Akron after, I think, 2 years in Ohio.
Okay. Okay.
No, but this Ohio team, they have a gem. 6'1" out of Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Mark Sears, 20 points per game. This guy averages 28 points per game against Kent State. I think he's going off big tonight on the road. I mean, how much is it really a road game? Yeah, 2 hours down the road. High schools travel farther than that sometimes for the state championships. I don't think this is much of a travel. Anybody out here in Youngstown, if they're planning a trip to make it out there for high school basketball, they're going to be sitting in about 4-hour drive on a bus. Good luck with that one. One of us is probably going to have to make it too if we go out with them, though. So, but on the other side for Kent State, Sincere Carey, he's a really good all-around basketball player out of Solon. He also goes big against the Bobcats every time. He averages 26 points per game against this team at home. He's a beast out there. He averages about 16 points. He's a lot better on the road, and he's really good against Ohio. So I think you got Sincere Carey going up all night long against Mark Sears. But I think Sears is one of those special talents in coming up to the draft that he's going to be a big pick kind of out of nowhere that makes an impact. Hopefully not in the G League, hopefully in the NBA. I think there's a lot of potential for what he could be. And, sometimes you just see guys get lost in the shuffle. I think there's potential for that, but I think he's such a special talent. I mean, the guy's shooting 90% right now from the free throw line. We talked about him when we talked about this team in the Central Michigan game back on the 10th, in which they won by 9. They've won all 3 games through the stretch, taking on Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan, and Miami. Now they're moving it back around to the east side of the state and east side of the conference, take on Kent State, who has been phenomenal as of late. I mean, Miami, Ohio, Eastern Michigan, Bowling Green, Akron, and Toledo. They've been going up against some tough matchups here. And this MAC this season might be one of the better conference years you've had for the MAC recently. So I think it's a strong conference this year, a lot stronger than they have been. I got the Bobcats, though. I've always been a fan of the green and white down in Athens.
They're sweet. I've always wanted to go there and see a game there, football or basketball.
When I was a little kid, my brother had an Ohio State, leather jacket. I had an Ohio Bobcats one that I loved. And I was like 4 or 5 years old. I love the Bobcat, man. That green is just it's a beautiful green. I love Ohio State more. Don't get me wrong, but
I know
OU was always one of those
Bobcats,
teams that's like
man.
In the state. That's number 2, probably number 3 now behind Cincinnati. But Youngstown State, they're in the mix somewhere.
Somewhere beyond the rainbow.
Let's just say they're not in my top 5 in the state in football. We're going to watch football. Go somewhere else. Go to Ohio State or Cincinnati. Football on this side of the state does not seem to be working out. Hopefully they get better, but at the moment, I mean, you talk Akron. Well, Kent had a good year. I'll give them that. They've had back-to-back good years, but Akron, Kent, and Youngstown, let's just say the football along I-76, not too great right now. They've seen better years.
Listen,
they've all seen better years.
We got Dominguez and Bo Brungard coming.
There we go.
So
turning the city around.
Hopeful.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope they turn the city around. But back to basketball here into the action. Yeah. I got Ohio on this one. I've always liked Ohio. Mark is a phenomenal talent.
Mark Sears, man.
I think you got Sincere on the other side and gonna carry this team tonight, pun intended there. They're at home in the Mac Center. I think it's a fun game, electric environment, I hope. I mean, Kent normally knows how to make some noise out there. They're, semi-party school-ish, not as big as Ohio. And Ohio, I'm sure, can travel up to Kent. I mean, it's not too bad of a drive. I mean, it's probably, three hours? Yeah, that sounds about right. 3.5,
something
maybe
like
less.
That.
But I think the noise is brought tonight, but I think Ohio still steals this one on the road away from Kent. Kent's had a good run. I think they have to slip up at some point, and I think this is probably their best chance coming off 2 big road victories against their rival Akron and a team that was fighting for first place in Toledo. I don't think they take down back-to-back. I mean, I don't think they take down back-to-back 1 seeds in back-to-back games with a 1-day rest in between. Or 2-day rest in between. This one's on tomorrow. So I got Ohio over Kent, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going Ohio too. I mean, Mark Sears, a fantastic player, but I also like the play of Jason Carter and Ben Vonderplas. This dude, Vonderplas, is a great player. I watched a couple of their games. He's averaging about 13.8 points per game. Carter's about 14 points. So they're a good duo to help out their main star in Sears. And that's nothing against Sincere Carey on the other side. Fantastic player for Kent State, but I think they need more around him, honestly. And that's why I think they're going to take the L here tonight, because they don't have enough depth besides him. So I got to go Ohio.
Makes sense. All right. Well, Mark Sears not available to be drafted until 2024, so he's got some time to continue to prosper into an NBA caliber player in these next few seasons. So with that being said, let's move it on past these 2 dominant athletes and get to some Big Ten action. Both teams trying to jump back to the win column. One lost to Rutgers. The other one, Matt, they lost to your Penn State Nittany Lions. We got Illinois and Michigan State going off against one another tonight. Man, this is such a great matchup. I mean, both these teams, they just feel like they've always kind of been built the same way.
Battled.
Strong defensive players. They're bad boys. They're mean. They're green. They're orange. Whatever it is. It's just fun to see these 2 teams. And I think maybe the one thing that separates these 2, it's the guy that's been separating Illinois from the pack all season, right? Kofi Cockburn, 7-footer out of Kingston, Jamaica. This dude is 7 feet tall, 285 pounds. This is Shaq. What people don't realize, this is Shaq. He has that explosiveness of Shaquille O'Neal. He's averaging 11.3 rebounds per game. And he can shoot free throws 64% at the line this season. And that's not even
better than Shaq.
Ever. So, yeah, a little bit better than Shaq. 0% from downtown. Don't ask him to shoot outside. It's not happening. But, this is a strong performing player. And on the road, he puts up 20 points per game, shoots at 54%. 10 rebounds, get those blocks, get those steals. This guy is such a talented player. If he is not top 10 when he leaves out of Illinois, someone is getting an absolute steal. He should be a guaranteed lottery pick. With his size and athleticism alone, any coach in the NBA could turn this guy into a massive star if they use him right. Because this is a guy, I think if he was coming out in the 90s, early 2000s, this would be a beast that we'd been talking about, that rivaled Shaq back in the day. I think he's got some more muscle to add on, but he's already a jacked, mean-looking dude. I mean, this is a beast when you talk about basketball. This is the guy you want locking down your paint. It's not too often you get a guy in college actually hitting that 7-foot mark. Sometimes they take, until they hit the NBA to finally reach that 7 foot. It'll be 6'10", 6'11", whatever it is. And then they hit the NBA. Because keep in mind, these guys are going 21 years old into the NBA, sometimes younger. And they're just being able to jump right into things, and they're not done growing for another, 5-6 years, especially with the amount of work they do to their bodies. They're in prime real estate. That's why we say these players' primes are right around 26, 27, 28. That's when they've stopped growing, and now their muscles are fully developed and ready to go before they start deteriorating in 3 to 4 years. But, I think Kofi.
That's horrible to say, but
I love the name Kofi. I think it's a great name. But I just think He is that guy that separates Illinois from the pack of the Big Ten. There's a reason this team had slowly been in first place quietly while all the hype was over at Purdue, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan State. All the hype was elsewhere. This man was locking things down in Illinois. They've slipped from the top spot finally. They're down to third right now in a two-way tie with Wisconsin for second place in the Big Ten. Purdue took the jump up thanks to everybody falling down around them. My Buckeyes have moved into fourth. Rutgers has moved into fifth, and Michigan State now back in sixth place. Still a lot of teams in the running. I mean, I think the most recent standings they put out for projected March Madness still had the Big Ten getting 6-7 teams into March. So I think that's great standings. Michigan State would basically be the cutoff at this point. And to say that the number 19 team in the country is the cutoff point for the Big Ten, I think that's pretty darn good to say. I mean, obviously Rutgers and Ohio State kind of just having an up and down season. I mean, seems to be a coin flip every time they come out there on the floor, but Rutgers against top 25 teams is undeniable. I think the one problem with Rutgers is unless they're taking on a top 25 team in every round of March Madness, they're probably going to slip up. If they go against top 25 all through March, they're the champions, no doubt. I mean, they won't lose.
Oh,
but, you know, with this Illinois game, I got Illinois. I've been high on Kofi this entire show. So I think it'd be silly if I go and pick Michigan State on the other side, who I think is a great team. Yeah. Getting to play this game at home in East Lansing is obviously massive. I mean, you always want home court advantage. Saturday, it's a noon game. So I think everyone's a little sluggish in the fan section. I think Illinois quiets the crowd early.
I'm actually going to go Michigan State in this one. I think they fell asleep against Penn State, and, you know, they've lost a bunch of games in a row, you know, to Indiana. Then, they beat Indiana, but before that, you lose to Rutgers and Wisconsin. Finally beat the Indiana, and then lose to Penn State. I think they're in a little bit of a rut, and I think they can jump out of it here tonight. So they're going to play extra strong to try and get this win here tonight, and they're at home. So I got to go Spartans here.
Yeah, that's a good pick. As I'm glowing now, I accidentally hit the wrong button and exited out, and my camera has yet to adjust. There we go. Finally back to a normal color scheme here as I was glowing white like an angel for a minute there. But no, I mean, it should be some great games. And this one, chance for another team to make a bounce back into it, coming off a loss against St. John's. Xavier coming into this one, 7-7 in conference play. They started the slide. They really need this win here coming up this weekend against UConn on the road. I don't know if they can do it at this point. I mean, it just feels like every time you count on this team, they fall apart. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They do have a win over UConn just 2 games ago, actually. They beat them 74-68. Yep. So we know they can get it done. It's just, I don't think that with the losing streak they're on right now, I don't see UConn slipping up twice with the way they've been playing well. I mean, just 2 losses in their last 5. The Villanova and Xavier, no slackers there. I mean, some tight games, no doubt. But I think Xavier, they're on that downward spiral, right? They're heading out of the conversation for the Big East. I mean, it seems like they keep sliding down. Hey, we're back, and we're gone. And we're back, and we're gone. I don't think they can make another, hey, we're back statement here. I got UConn taking the game.
Yeah, I'm going UConn as well in this one. I agree with everything you said there. Xavier's just falling off.
UConn, do it.
Just kick yourself off right now. Just go. You'll be back right now, maybe. But UConn, I mean, here he is. UConn, very good team. They're a bounce back team. I mean, they've been down the past couple of years, and they're finally making another good run at it. So, I mean, and they're facing a team that's I think is falling apart. Honestly, everybody hyped them up after they beat Ohio State, and they haven't done crap since that. So
they've had some good runs in there, but yeah, I mean, they beat Ohio State early on. I mean, that was 3rd game of the season. They dropped it to Iowa State. I mean, keep in mind, this is a team that also has a win over Kent State, who, as we just talked about, has a chance to win their conference. They have wins over Morehead State and Marquette. You know, along this ride, they got wins over Creighton and DePaul, you know, some Big East teams. But it seems like every time they go up against the top of the Big East, besides this last matchup against UConn, they've stumbled. So I think they lose this one. They got a game coming up next Wednesday against Providence. I think they probably lose that one too. They got Seton Hall, St. John's, and Georgetown finish out the season. So they got 5 games left on the slate. I think they win 2 of those, maybe 3 if they get a good shot in there. But I don't think they got what it takes anymore.
No.
Well, there's still a little time left in the season. I don't think there's much of a run that can be made. But in that same sense, they could be, you know, just throwing it out there like, hey, We got a run to make. We can do it. We have nothing else to lose at this point. Let's just go finish it out, have some fun. Maybe they pull an upset or two along the way. So that could be what happens tonight. Next game in here for us, Texas Tech, the Red Raiders coming up against the Longhorns of Texas. Texas has been given a 100% chance to win this game because the team from Texas is going to win. I hope you like that joke in there real quick. But Texas, for me, I don't like this team whatsoever. I mean, there's nothing about them that screams, hey, we're good at basketball. But they somehow find a way to win. And, yeah, they're a young team. And, Tim Allen is their leading scorer with 12 points per game. But on the other side of this one, you got Williams and Bryson Williams, a senior. He's only getting 13.5 points for Texas Tech, and he's their leading scorer. I don't really like either one of these teams. The Red Raiders, though, I think they've been playing better defensively, and I like that. I know the stats would say that goes towards Texas, but in the recent games, last 3 games for this Texas team against big opponents, Kansas, Baylor, and Oklahoma, their last 3 matchups, they've allowed 76 points, 80, and 78. So their defense is slipping at the moment. In the last 3 games for Texas Tech against Oklahoma, TCU, and Baylor, they allowed 70, 69, and 73. So you're seeing that jump. And, it's just a couple of points. But when you talk about a game like this where it seems both teams are pretty even, I think a couple of points goes a big way. I like the Red Raiders coming out of this one. I like Texas Tech.
They're sweet. I'm rolling with the Red Raiders as well. Man.
And by the way, they're also the number 11 team in the country. Then I don't know. Yeah, they've been making this run quietly. They're still 3rd place in the Big 12, even after that win last night. I think they win tonight. They may jump Baylor if Baylor goes down again. But at the moment, Kansas has a lock on the Big 12 if they don't slip.
Yeah, man. But and they had that close loss against Kansas. Man, I'd like to see that matchup again. Maybe we
Big 12
will
championship. Who knows?
Big 12. Oh man, that's gonna be sweet.
Or somewhere along the way in the Big 12 tournament.
Something like that. Yeah, but.
That'll be a hectic week to talk about games, won't it? All the tournaments going on.
Texas, though, they've surprised some people with their wins, and people try to talk good about them, like, hey, they beat this team and this team, but those are just flashes. Like, yeah, okay, they beat Oklahoma, they beat Kansas, and you beat Iowa State is in there too, but some of those games, you're just like, okay, they beat them, but you still don't think they're good enough. It's you just have that feel like they're not ready yet. They're not. So they're going to be. They're going to be a heck of a team next year. Just wait. Texas is going to be good, but it's just not the year. So I got to go with the Red Raiders. Plus, they're coming off a huge win, and I think they're going to ride that momentum into Texas. Plus, it's a rival game. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's move it on here. We got to rapid fire some picks to finish out the show. I want to talk a little bit high school basketball from last night, first round of the playoffs going on. So this one, Alabama, the Crimson Tide, number 25, taking on number 4, the Kentucky Wildcats. Wildcats coming off a loss just the other night to Tennessee, 76-63. They really slipped up, but I think Kentucky takes it second time around as well. They beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa already. I think they defend home court. It's hard to win in Kentucky. That last loss came on the road. I don't think many people are taking them down in Lexington. I like the Wildcats.
Yeah, me too.
All right, well, that makes that pretty easy. This one, the team that just beat the Wildcats, the Volunteers, they got the Arkansas Razorbacks. Matt, I know this is a team you've been saying you're really liking the way they're coming up. Yes. So, I got to imagine you're rolling Arkansas into this game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is one team for me in Tennessee. I feel like every time I go to pick them, they blow it for me. But every time I pick against them, they find a way to win. So I think I have to go with them in this game. They're on a 5-game winning streak with wins, not great wins. Texas A&M, South Carolina, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, they're all in that bottom part of the conference. But I think this team's coming into some momentum with a 13-point win over Kentucky, much like we saw Kentucky make a big run earlier in the season that projected them into the top 5 with some huge points. Especially, I think they put up near 100 on this Tennessee team the first time around. I think that was the game that we started really talking about Kentucky. Yeah, it was 107-79. That's when we started talking about Kentucky. Tennessee's, they've kind of gotten the backhand since then. They're still number 16 in the country, though. I think they find their way back up, and I got the Volunteers taking this game tonight. And obviously, you said Arkansas. Next game here, Pac-12, Oregon Ducks and the Arizona Wildcats. I love the Wildcats, but I do feel a little bit of a chance for an upset tonight from Oregon. I'm not picking it. I'm going to take Arizona in this one. But I've taken a lot of upsets today, so I can't throw them all out there at once. But I think the Ducks got a chance. If this was in Oregon, I think I'd pick the upset. But it's in Arizona, and with all the upsets this week, I feel like we have a chance for another one. But I just it's just one of those games you want to pick it, but I don't know if Oregon can do it. I mean, this is the only matchup we have seen between these two teams all season, so there's not even a last game to go back to. And from the looks of it, there won't be another game between these two unless they meet in Pac-12 championship playoffs tournament. That's what it's called. So I got Arizona in this game. I think Oregon's got a shot, though.
Okay. I'm going to go Arizona, too. But, I mean, I don't think – it's going to be a little close, I think. But I think Arizona may pull away at the end a little bit.
Fair enough. All right. Well, next game up, we'll transfer over to the women's side of college basketball, where we have not gone yet this season. And ESPN doesn't give you quite the amount of stats that you get for the boys' side of things. Don't know why that is. But last 5 games for Maryland, they're undefeated in their last 5. They're number 13 in the country, 11-3 in conference play, 19-6 overall. They host my Ohio State Buckeyes tonight, 19-4, 11-3 in conference play. Both these two right now battle for third place, potentially second in Big Ten conference play. That team up north is in second place, and Indiana's in first place of the Big Ten right now in the women's bracket. So I think big game coming up here for either one of these two teams if they want to potentially make that push for the regular season Big Ten championship. I think Ohio State might be a little bit out of it, considering they've lost both games to that team to the north that sits ahead of them in conference play, and no more matchups to make up on that. But they got Maryland, Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan State to finish out the season. So should be some good wins in there. It should all be wins. Michigan State might give them a challenge, but Maryland really the last chance to knock Ohio State out of that third spot, I think, on the season. Team up north could slip again. We don't know how that's going to work out for them. And, I'm thinking right now, Indiana, they got a good shot to take it. But Northwestern, Iowa twice, and Maryland sit on the rest of their schedule. 3 top 25 matchups, 2 in back-to-back games against, Iowa. Huge shot for an upset down the line. So the Big Ten Conference seemingly still wide open as it sits right now. But, I got to pick my Buckeyes going into this game. It just makes sense for me.
Yeah, I'm going to go Ohio State, too.
Ohio State. You're going Ohio State, really?
Yeah. Why the heck not?
Well, I probably wouldn't be going your way if I wasn't a Buckeye fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maryland's got a really solid team. I mean, everyone asks why we brought Rutgers and Maryland into the Big Ten. Part of it was money. Those schools can bring in a lot of money out there on the East Coast. It opens up recruiting there. But sports like this in basketball, Rutgers and Maryland have always had great teams in both men's and women. You're seeing it again this season. When you ask why, this is why. It's this. Some of the other sports that, you don't see Ohio State and that team up north and Penn State, Michigan State being great in. This is the reason you bring these teams in. It's because they add prestige when your top-tiered schools are kind of in the lower standings there in those. And in women's basketball, again, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Both teams 19-6, both 10-4 in the ACC. 19 Notre Dame, 16 Georgia Tech. Notre Dame has lost 2 out of the last 3. Georgia Tech has lost 2 out of their last 3. This is about as even as a matchup as you can get. And it's down in Atlanta, Georgia. And what should be a great game for 4th place right now, the ACC.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I haven't been really keeping up with women's basketball, just, YSU. But, Notre Dame, they always seem to be in there every year. It seems like all the teams I usually see are like Notre Dame and like UConn. And I say UConn is still ranked up in the top 10. But, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech looks pretty good as well. So you said they lost 2 out of their last 3. So, it's going to be a very tight game here tonight. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I think I'm going to roll with Notre Dame because I like Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm going to go Notre Dame in this one. They are 12-1 when they've scored more than 50 points on the season. I think there's a good shot they put up more than 50 in this game. So I think you got to hand them the win when they can put that number up. On the other side of things, Georgia Tech, they were 3-0 and they've had more than 63 points per game. So they're going to need a lot of points to get up there. I think this becomes a high-scoring affair. I'm not sure on the defense of both these teams. I haven't watched too much of it. I saw some great team matchups going up this weekend for women's basketball. I threw them here on the show. So these are more of a guess than anything else. I like Notre Dame, though. I think they put up the points coming into this one. So let's flip it over to the NBA. Heat and Hornets tonight, 7 p.m. In Charlotte. Miami, a 5-point favorite coming to this one. I think you got to roll with that, man. Tyler Hero right now for Miami. 20 points a game out of this, man. They've had a lot of guys out, and obviously Hero's going to be out in this one. Jimmy Butler's day-to-day. Haslam is day-to-day. Caleb Martin is out. Dwayne Dedman is out. I mean, a lot of injuries right now for Miami, but, they've still been finding ways to win. They just lost to Dallas, and that was their first loss in quite some time. Charlotte is on a terrible skid as of late. I mean, 4 of their last 5, they've gone down, including an overtime loss to Minnesota, the Timberwolves. I think I take Miami again in this game. Even with all those injuries, I still think they overcome what seems to be a stuttering Hornets squad right now.
Yeah, I got to go Miami, too. I've been kind of, hot on them all year. They're one of my – I like them. I don't hate them at all. I just find it funny because 2 of my teams that I like, I mean, I really, really, really like the Cavs. That's my favorite team. But I also like the Heat, too. And it's just like LeBron was on both of those teams. I just like them more now that he's not there. I think that's funny. But, but I got to go Heat here. They're pretty good. I mean, they're pretty damn good. So it's going to be a handful for somebody to get past them. It's going to be. So we'll just have to see.
For sure. Well, going over into the NHL, Matt, we got your team tonight, Pens and Maple Leafs. I know you guys are talking a little bit about this game.
Yes, Maple Leafs. They're a good team.
They are.
But I think they choke. I think they're a choker team. Yeah.
This is one of these teams. They feel very up and down this season. Like
I think
right
they're
now,
kind of overrated.
I don't think overrated is the right word, but I feel like they lack consistency. I mean, every time they get that run going, they slip. Every time you think, oh, this is the team to beat, then they fall apart again. It's like, come on. If you want to be that top man, be that top man. If you don't, sit back and let some other people control the show. And right now they've let the Lightning and the Panthers kind of run this division so far, and they're 6 points back from first place. And it's the Panthers and the Lightning that are battling it out, despite the fact that, there's only a couple of wins in between these teams. There's a good chunk of points there on the table that they haven't capitalized on. And
yeah,
they're 7-3 in the last 10, so technically better than the Pens. But Matt, your Pens are on a 4-game win streak again, and Maple Leafs, they're coming off a 1-game win streak in which they lost right before it to the Canucks. So it's one of these moments. This team, with their inconsistencies, I find it hard to pick. Now, my algorithm tells me to take the Maple Leafs in this game, but being your and Mike's friends, I think I have to go with the Pens in it. Every time I picked for the Pens, with you guys, it hasn't hurt me yet, I don't think. So
no.
I think I got to roll with the Pens again.
Oh, who I'm rolling
with? Years, man. And you guys got it into it yesterday. So.
Oh, man. We went. I don't know if you listened, but I was going off. I
heard a little bit.
If we win tonight, we could potentially be the 2nd best team in the NHL. We are the 4th best team in the NHL. We are tied with Tampa Bay for 3rd. So we're tied for the 3rd best team, my bad. But we're a heck of a team. We lost 4 in a row. I'm like, oh no, what's going on? And then boom, we just needed that all-star break. We just needed that little break, and we're back. We are back, and we have some tough games coming up ahead, and it starts with this. It starts with the Maple Leafs.
Right.
After this, let me look.
Yeah, man, you went into it yesterday. We'll talk more Pens later, I'm sure. Let's get into some high school stuff to wrap out the show.
It should be pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, let's recap last night. Division 3 Struthers sectional bracket. These were the sectional semifinal games. Mine top of the bracket, so I guess I'll go first here. Youngstown Liberty destroyed East Palestine by 40 points in this game. Matt, I know your squad went big as well. I'll give you a minute here. Talk about that a little bit. Sienna Smith put up 21 points. So she single-handedly outscored Palestine in this game. And it feels like a recurring theme that somebody is outscoring the other team when, this Liberty squad wins. So they got a game coming up this Saturday. Should be another win on the board going up against number 22 Mineral Ridge. You don't want to give anything out that easily. But when they just destroyed the 24 seed like that, Matt, you saw the 21 seed last night in Campbell Memorial. A 22 seed doesn't look promising right now to pull the upset.
No.
It's possible. Grand Valley put in, a heck of an effort last night against South Range. That was the other game going on. That was a 42-52 win for the 2-time defending South Range district champion. So they've taken this district the last 2 years. They got a lot of challenges this year, though. I mean, between Liberty, Waterloo, and Brookfield, and potentially United or Ursuline,
United's really
won
good
last
team.
night against LeBray. They beat the 12 seed. This was a 9 that destroyed the 12 seed by 25 points, 26 points actually in that game. So this first round has gone big. And Matt, your Brookfield team, they went up big last night, 65-13 over Campbell Memorial, an absolute runaway. They were up, 50-8 at halftime is what you sent me?
50-8 at halftime. And I'm sitting there like, well, here we go. I mean, games like that, you just have to think of other things to say. And I
started talking about what the rest of the season has done.
I started talking about the next game, the next bracket. They play Conneaut this Saturday, I believe.
Yes, so this Saturday. That's a 1 p.m. game in Brookfield. It's another home one.
Yeah, so I'm not going to be there. I will miss that game. I think the boys have their playoff game that Saturday too. I'll miss that, but hopefully they can get a win. And I'll keep calling them. If they face Liberty again, it would have to be in districts in Struthers. We'd have to meet up.
Yeah, district finals is a potential round 3 that everybody pretty much wants to see. I was even talking to the coaches at Liberty last night. They went, "Yeah, we got our eyes. We got our eyes on Brookfield for round 3."
Yes,
I was talking to one
we'll be on the call. We'll be on the call.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the assistant coaches. He's just like, "We've had our eye on him again for round 3. That'd be a pretty fun matchup once again. See if we can,
it would be.
Take
it would
back.
be. It definitely would be. But big win last night. I mean, some other good wins around the valley too. But this one was definitely they expected them to win this game, but I mean
the way they did it was a statement.
Yeah. Like, man, I don't know how many steals they had in the first quarter. I'm like, man, just are they that good or just I don't know.
I think the Campbell season just finally hit an end. They've been
why did they let every team? Listen, this is nothing against them. I know we're running out of time, but why do they let these teams in? There should be a cutoff line. There honestly should be.
Yeah, because you don't really see too many upsets when it comes down to this. I mean, East Canton pulled off an upset last night against Warren JFK, but that was the 18 taking down the 11, and the 19-4 matchup was a 16-point win for Newton Falls out there in the D4 Mineral Ridge bracket. So you're not seeing tight games in some of these. So maybe there's a point to it, Matt, and we'll go ahead and let's flip it over into the Division II Uniontown Lake bracket. A couple more YSN teams over there. Including my team, Cardinal Mooney. They pulled off a big win last night over Hubbard. As the 18 seed, kind of an potential underdog here. They won by a dozen against the 20-seeded Hubbard. They got Poland Seminary, the 5 seed that destroyed Lakeview, 42-23 last night. Niles McKinley on the top side of this bracket. They lost to Beloit West Branch, the 4 seed, huge margin there, nearly a 50-point win for West Branch going into that game. Streetsboro took down Ravenna Southeast. Canton South took down Alliance. Mogador took down Ravenna. So Saturday matchups coming up in that bracket. You got Marlington, the 1 seed in Division II girls basketball, taking on Mogador, who did pull a little bit of an upset, not much of one, probably won't make it past another round. Canton South and Streetsboro should be a huge matchup. Edgewood and West Branch. West Branch most likely the favorite to wake that. And Poland Seminary and Mooney. Coach DiOrio was telling me he thinks they can take that game against Poland Seminary. So I think a huge game potential. I'd love to see Cardinal Mooney move their way into the district semifinals to most likely take on Beloit West Branch. And if they can take down the 5, why not the 4? That's how I'm thinking about it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Matt, coming up, you got another game this Saturday as well. Kinsman Badger, your girls squad, the 9 seed, you're taking on Lowellville, the 12 seed, and some good matchups out of there. McDonald advanced past the first round over Heartland Christian. Western Reserve took down Wellsville. They got a game against Chalker. McDonald takes on Southern, and top side of your bracket, Middlefield Cardinal took down Ashtabula St. John. They got Bristol coming up into that game. So good ones here. And then finally, before I let you go and talk about this a little bit, in our bracket, Mineral Ridge and Liberty at 1 p.m. All these games on YSN, by the way. $9.99 playoffs. You get it right here. Liberty, maybe the best game out of this bracket so far. Waterloo and South Range. South Range obviously defending district champions. Waterloo, MVAC Scarlet champions. 1 loss on the season. A very solid team. they've been very quiet with how loud the Grey Tier was this season. The Scarlet went unnoticed, and they rolled right through it. Ursuline's taking on United. Should be a great game.
United's really good.
And they've got the higher seed, so they got the home court advantage as well. They could potentially pull the upset against Ursuline. I saw Ursuline a couple nights ago. They got some fantastic athletes this past Saturday, and I think they got some great shooting. I'm worried about their depth a little bit, though, and I think this United squad can pull it. And, Matt, you got Conneaut coming up here. So, of all those games, go ahead, talk a little bit. I was just rolling through for a while.
So, I'm not going to be on the call for any of these games. I won't be there for Brookfield or Badger. I have some other things to tend to. Look, it's a class thing. I'd be going to it. I have a field production too, and I just picked this Saturday to do a video board thing. I'm like, oh man, why did I pick this Saturday? But unfortunately, I won't be able to make it. But hopefully, these teams move on and advance. So I keep calling them. I've enjoyed calling them. I've been telling the athletic director for Brookfield and for Badger, like, hey, I like coming here and calling these games, and they appreciate me coming out there. So, I mean, they keep going, I'll keep going. So they keep going, I keep going.
Should be a great finish to the season. Obviously, all these games on YSNlive.com. We've had some good ones already. Expecting things to get a lot better though as we move out of this first round or so of the playoffs. So, with that being said, come on back tomorrow. We're going to be talking a lot of All-Star action. We got, obviously, the All-Star game, but the celebrity game, we're going to be picking it. The Rising Stars game, we're picking it. Skills Challenge, we're picking it somehow. 3-point contest in the slam dunk contest, we're picking them. So make sure to come on back tomorrow. We got more NHL to talk about as well as the NBA takes their weekend hiatus. A lot more college basketball to get to, including some big ones coming up. Rutgers potentially looking for another upset over Purdue. Can Florida pull the upset on Auburn? All of that and more, along with Princeton and Yale. Fantastic rivalries all around. But that is going to do it here for the Casual Sports Podcast. I've been Alek Koberna. As always, that man's Matt Morrison. This has been the Casual Sports Podcast Power Hour. Coming up next, stay tuned, folks. YSNlive.com. We got you for all the OHSAA playoffs in the Valley.